The courtroom was already buzzing with quiet whispers when the husband smirked, straightened his expensive suit, and laughed under his breath as if the entire place was a stage built just for his victory. His wife stood a few steps away from him, her head lowered, hands trembling, eyes fixed on the cold marble floor. To him, this was not a serious moment, it was entertainment. He believed this was the final scene where he would crush her dignity forever. What he did not know was that fate was already walking toward the courtroom doors, and within minutes, everything he thought he controlled would collapse in front of everyone. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of truth always finding its way to the surface, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a kind comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The woman at the center of the courtroom had once been full of light. Her name was Ayesha, a quiet, gentle soul who believed love meant patience and endurance. She had married her husband Samir with dreams no different from any other woman. She imagined shared meals, laughter in small rooms, and hands held tightly during difficult times. But soon after marriage, those dreams began to fade. Samir's charm, which once felt reassuring, slowly transformed into control. His words became sharp, his silences heavier, and his presence suffocating. Yet Ayesha stayed, not because she was weak, but because she was taught that sacrifice was strength. Over the years, Samir chipped away at her confidence piece by piece. He mocked her education, belittled her family, and reminded her daily that she was lucky he had chosen her. In public, he was polite and admired. In private, he was cruel and dismissive. When Ayesha finally gathered the courage to speak up, to say she was unhappy and hurting, Samir laughed. He told her no one would ever believe her. And when she asked for separation, he promised to destroy her reputation so completely that even her shadow would abandon her. The case reached court after months of emotional exhaustion. Ayesha walked into the courtroom that day feeling smaller than she ever had before. The walls felt too tall, the benches too hard, the air too cold. Samir, on the other hand, walked in confidently, greeting people, joking softly with his lawyer, radiating the certainty of a man who believed money and influence made him untouchable. When it was his turn to speak, he didn't miss the opportunity to humiliate her. He painted her as unstable, ungrateful, and dramatic. He laughed while describing her pain as imagination. Each word felt like a slap, but Ayesha stood still, silent, holding herself together with every ounce of strength she had left. The judge listened carefully, face unreadable, but the weight of Samir's arrogance filled the room. People in the audience exchanged glances. Some felt uncomfortable, others curious. Ayesha's lawyer tried to present her side, but without strong witnesses, the truth felt fragile. Samir leaned back, confident that the court would see exactly what he wanted them to see. In his mind, this was already over. Then, just as the judge was about to move forward, the heavy courtroom doors opened. The sound echoed louder than expected, slicing through the tension like a blade. Every head turned. A woman stepped inside, her presence commanding silence without effort. She was not dressed in expensive clothes, nor did she wear any symbols of status, but there was something about her posture, the way she walked with quiet authority, that immediately shifted the atmosphere. This was Ayesha's mother. Time seemed to slow as she walked down the aisle. Her face carried years of struggle, but her eyes were sharp, steady, and unafraid. She did not look at Samir. She did not look at the crowd. Her gaze went straight to her daughter, and in that single look was everything: love, pain, regret, and fierce protection. Ayesha felt her chest tighten. She had begged her mother not to come, afraid of dragging her into humiliation. But now that she was there, something inside Ayesha cracked open, and strength began to seep in. The judge froze, hand hovering mid-air, sensing that something important had just entered the room. Samir's smirk faded for the first time. He shifted uncomfortably, eyes narrowing as recognition slowly dawned. This woman was not supposed to be here. She was not part of his plan. Ayesha's mother requested permission to speak. Her voice was calm, controlled, but heavy with truth. When she began, the courtroom leaned in, drawn by the gravity of her words. She spoke not as someone seeking revenge, but as a mother who had watched her child slowly disappear. She described the phone calls late at night filled with quiet sobs, the visits where bruises were hidden beneath long sleeves, the way Ayesha stopped smiling, stopped dreaming, stopped being herself. She spoke of her own guilt for encouraging patience when she should have encouraged escape. As she continued, something remarkable happened. The narrative Samir had carefully built began to crumble. Documents were presented, medical reports, messages, evidence that had been carefully preserved over years of silence. The courtroom felt heavier with each revelation. Samir's lawyer tried to interrupt, but the judge raised a hand, signaling for the mother to continue. This was no longer just a case, it was a reckoning. Samir's confidence dissolved rapidly. His face flushed, jaw tightening as the power shifted away from him. The man who once laughed now avoided eye contact. His mocking tone from earlier echoed in the silence, turning into a reminder of his cruelty. The audience no longer saw a charming man, they saw someone exposed. Ayesha stood there, listening, tears streaming freely now, not from shame, but from release. For the first time, she felt seen, not as a case number, not as an accusation, but as a human being whose pain mattered. Her mother's presence reminded her that she was never truly alone, even when she felt abandoned. The judge took a long pause before speaking. The courtroom was silent enough to hear breaths being held. When the judge finally addressed Samir, the tone was firm and unyielding. The arrogance that once filled the room was gone, replaced by accountability. The court acknowledged the emotional abuse, the manipulation, and the deliberate attempt to humiliate and silence. Samir's attempt to mock his wife had backfired spectacularly. Instead of breaking her, he had exposed himself. As the proceedings moved toward their conclusion, something deeper than legal victory unfolded. Ayesha felt a shift within herself. She realized that her worth had never depended on Samir's approval or society's judgment. It had always been there, waiting for her to claim it. Her mother reached out and held her hand, a simple gesture that carried years of unspoken support. The ruling favored Ayesha, but more importantly, her story was finally heard. The courtroom slowly emptied, but the impact of what happened lingered. Some people walked out with tears in their eyes, others with their beliefs challenged. Samir left quietly, stripped of the power he once abused, his mockery replaced by silence. As Ayesha stepped outside, the sunlight felt different, warmer, softer. It wasn't that her pain had vanished, but it no longer defined her. She had survived, she had spoken, and she had been believed. Her mother stood beside her, not as a savior, but as a reminder that love, when it is real, does not humiliate or control, it protects. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone who needs strength or courage right now, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most. And before this video ends, I have one special request for you. Please comment the words, "She was never weak." If you believe that silence does not mean surrender, and that courage sometimes arrives quietly through the people who refuse to give up on us. Ayesha walked forward that day, not as a broken woman, but as someone reborn through truth. And somewhere behind her, in that silent courtroom, a lesson remained etched into the walls. Never mistake kindness for weakness, and never underestimate the power of a mother who walks in carrying the truth.